This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at zuloo.com.
I don't travel often, but when I do, I just choose to do an empty stomach because, or like, you do like a protein bar, safe foods. Because it's just not a place that you want to have the grumblies.
Yeah.
They are, I'm pretty small and it's hard for me to take care of business in there. I can't imagine how a regular sized human does it.
Yeah.
Like, do their knees always hit the door when they squat down?
Yes.
Darren?
Welcome to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humor, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey, ZuLoo friends. Welcome back to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. We have got another awesome interview lined up. Today, we are talking with Amber, or listening to her. Darren and I had the opportunity to connect with her and chat about her amazing business called PEEQUAL.
Yeah, would you use a PEEQUAL?
Now that I know what it is, I can't wait to use a PEEQUAL.
Yes. So for our listeners, our viewers, PEEQUAL is a female urinal. That is a different pronunciation of urinal than I had ever heard before.
Is that the British way to say it?
Yeah, that's what.
Is it like urine?
Urinal, yeah.
Or is it urine? Urine? What? Tomato, whatever.
I'm going to keep saying urine. But
it's funny. The British they have a weird way of speaking English. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's almost
so
like
funky.
they didn't come up with it and we didn't take it from them.
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly not American English.
Oh, man. But Amber's a genius. And so is Hazel, her co-founder. Female urinals, they have yet to hit the United States. But every time that I see a new design for one or I hear of them, it seems that they're coming out of Europe, really, between PEEQUAL and LaPie. Those are the two I'm familiar with. Yeah. I'm anxious for them to get over here.
I'm very excited for a new iteration of what we've been doing forever because it can be improved.
Yes.
And who's going to win? PEEQUAL versus LaPie.
I think there's room for everyone at that table.
There is room for everyone at that table. Absolutely.
It's going to be like Apple and Microsoft just going at it. Who's
all over. Female urinals.
I think both of them get the job done.
Yes. Well, we're excited to dive into that. But before we do, we got to do our weekly Poo-News.
Yes, Poo-News. There's so much of it to cover,
Yes.
Seems like a lot of news around toilets revolve around airplanes, because, that's always a interesting toilet situation.
Sure
because, they don't have like men and women bathrooms on planes. So you've got this common thing going on. And plus you're sort of captive up there in the air. You're kind of dependent on that thing. Hopefully those engines keep turning. Hopefully the stewardess keeps bringing you water. And hopefully your bathroom
continues to
work.
Uh-oh, where's this going?
So this is our news stories today are two airline-related stories. Sometimes bathrooms and airplanes bring out the worst in us, right? And this is a story about and this is out of India airline, and there was a person on the plane who had a medical emergency and had passed out, and so the stewardesses had him lie in the aisle, lie down, right? So consequently, none of the people in front of that person could get to the restroom.
No,
because they couldn't step over the person, right? And so they opened it up. Okay, well, you got to just use the first class.
Yeah.
Well, apparently somebody in first class, and they named my name, this guy.
They outed
He's going to be snooty about it.
This guy filed a formal complaint. Jitender Bhargava, I don't know how you're saying his name. he got super upset on the plane and said, no, I paid for a first class ticket and you can't let all these other people use the restroom, which I thought was a little bit over the top.
It's a little grinchy.
Right.
Makes you, like, how often was he using the bathroom? Like, was it really getting in his way?
Yeah.
To let other people
And
in?
so obviously a medical emergency, it wasn't just like, yeah, you can just use it any old person, but there was a legitimate reason for it. And anyway, apparently everybody on Twitter is going after this guy for being a dummy.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's one thing, to grumble about it, complain about it, but
Sure.
he filed a formal complaint against the airline saying, hey, this was wrong somehow.
What, I mean,
and I'm like,
what is he hoping to get out of a formal complaint?
where's your
Does he want to be
sense of
compensated
humanity?
somehow?
Could you maybe think about the guy laying in the aisle back in the back?
For real?
This is not all about you, man.
I want to try to figure out there's got to be something else going on there. I mean, maybe he had just had the worst day and all these horrible things were happening. You never know.
And the bathroom is his sanctuary.
That was the one place where he felt like he could relax on this flight.
He's like, I'm spending $10,000 for this first class ticket so I can use that first class restroom.
First class bathroom. That did get me thinking, though. I was thinking the story was heading into somehow the airplane bathroom stopped functioning.
Oh.
And that got me thinking about how...
That's the next story.
Oh, yeah.
Save it.
Well, save it.
Oh, what were we going to say, though? Like, is that one of your fears? Is that a fear of yours?
Yes. Oh, well, why should it not be? Especially if you're eating airport food. I mean...
Yeah.
I
don't
travel often, but when I do, I just choose to do an empty stomach because, or like, you do like a protein bar, safe foods, because it's just not a place that you want to have the grumblies.
Yeah.
They are, I mean, I'm pretty small and it's hard for me to like take care of business in there. I can't imagine how a regular size human does it.
Yeah.
Like, do their knees always hit the door when they squat down?
Yes.
Darren?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it
Not a lot
is
of room in there.
I don't blame you for just traveling, while fasting.
I sip water. That's about it. Because the other thing is that it's super obnoxious if you're in the middle seat or the window seat to have to like crawl over everybody, even if they're your family. It's just like, I'm so sorry.
Especially
because they know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is it a 1 or a 2? If it's a 1, I'm not moving. 2, okay. Give me a little high sign. But
so what? Then tell us.
How does it get worse?
Well, yeah. So that's that story. But I was going to say, I mean, speaking of size, I mean, I'm not the biggest guy, but I've been in there where it's like, man, it's tight, and there's some lot bigger people than me. And I don't know how they do it.
I mean, I'm sure that we will come to see airplane toilets expand, especially as like size inclusivity becomes,
size inclusivity. That's a great word.
So if you're having to buy 2 seats because of your size, right?
Yeah.
You probably are going to have a challenge going to the bathroom.
Real challenge getting into that bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, sometimes they don't work. Right. So there's another article. This is out of Florida. This is a flight that, no, I'm sorry. Correct. This is out of England. Of course, most toilet stories come out of England, right? Of course, it's England, right? This is recent Airbus A321 flight was diverted in order to allow passengers to go to the bathroom because the toilets had stopped working.
No.
Not just one. And so you got to go to the first class. No, all of them stopped working.
Mm-mm.
And so, instead of going, they was flying to Spain, and they were like, you know what? We got so many people got to use the restroom.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to divert. So they diverted to another airport.
It's like the angry dad who doesn't want to stop on a road trip to let the kids go to the bathroom. Fine, we'll stop in Portugal and let you guys go.
Seriously. So they stopped on the ground for probably 2 hours and let everybody go.
That airline should be awarded something.
Or not, because make sure your toilets work.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they never should have leave the ground. But maybe it happened during flight.
It could happen.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I'm reliving the pain of a time. I mean, have you ever had a time where you've had to go to the bathroom so bad you're in physical pain?
Monthly.
Yeah.
Like it happens all the time.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking of, having this flashback of me seeing The Lion King at Broadway with my grandma when I was a young girl. And I had to go to the bathroom so bad at intermission. I didn't really have to go. So I said, I'm not going. But then that second
You
half,
ignored the warning.
I ignored the grandma warning of you better just go. And I remember literally like shaking in my seat because my grandma had paid so much money for us to go and see this show. And, I don't know if this was true or not, but she's like, they won't let you back in.
Yeah.
If you go, it was bad. So being stuck on an airplane in the air, I don't know, maybe it's just some trauma.
Yeah, it's funny.
Wow.
They have, they have like little barf bags, right? I mean, maybe they should have a little poop bag.
Oh gosh.
Stinky
I guess you could have
case.
used that in the bathroom and still taken care of it. But how long is the flight from England to Spain?
It's not going to be long.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Short.
Yeah,
It seems like it
not
would take
that-
longer to like stop somewhere
Yeah.
and go than to
Than
just
just-
like power through.
Because if you got to go and you're waiting to land, right? Because you got to land and they got a taxi and then you got to get off the plane. You're probably going to lose it, Anyway, so
So might as well do it in Spain.
But
Might
you
as well
would have
just
had to
pull
do
out-
that wherever you were anyway.
Exactly.
It's not like they're going to pull out onto the tarmac and bring up a staircase and let
Yeah.
everybody.
yeah, I
Wow.
think that isn't the barf bag. Is that the right word for it? That's kind of a gross word, barf. But
Maybe I can't think of a word that's not gross.
Yeah,
I don't think
just the bag.
it doesn't even doesn't say
Container.
barf
A
on
sick
it.
bag.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Sick bag. There you go.
I think it's lined with like
It's like coated.
coated, so you
Yeah.
could feasibly
Yes.
use it.
Yes, you
if
could.
you had to.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because now my fears are lessened.
Oh, because
If
it's
I
better
had
to just go for it.
Maybe
in a
it's all
barf bag.
purpose.
If you're midair and your options are wet yourself or use the barf bag, you use the barf bag.
yeah,
Okay.
imagine what that would look like on the plane.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
people,
logistically.
okay, put away your cell phones for a second. I'm going to go right here.
You can still go into
You-
the
yeah, you go
bathroom
in the
area. You're
bathroom
just
and
not
use
going to
it.
use the.
But then
Well-
you're carrying it with you, and how do you make sure it
Well,
doesn't?
no,
what
you
if-
just put it in the trash.
Well, it could be that there's a guy laying in the aisle blocking it. So then what are you going to do? You're going to go to first class?
Then
No.
you land in another country and take care of it, I guess.
It's true. Yeah.
That's funny. On Twitter here, they said when they were talking about it, they're like, bladder's emptied, flight 782 is back on its way.
Oh, those
So-
poor people.
It's pretty cute.
It's a
Anyway.
great story
It's a great
for
story.
the rest of their lives.
But yeah, you think
Well-
about it, they have they got life vests in case of emergency,
Mhm.
water landing. They've got oxygen masks. They got the
What's the toilet backup equivalent?
Yeah.
Do they have I don't know. I think the whole bag thing is probably the.
Where's our friend Boone? This-
Boone, call
This is the
Boone.
next.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
he's
well,
the
you could have
innovator.
you could have a little suction valve that it pulls out of the seat, and you hook it up, and you're
And it-
good.
Powers the
Wow.
plane.
There you go. Just drops it out over Manchester. Frozen poop from the sky. That's happened before.
Well, our other amazing toilet innovators, though, are Amber and Hazel.
Speaking of England, of course.
Speaking of
Yes.
England, speaking
Great
of
segue.
toilet,
Everything cool toilet
interventions.
tech comes from England.
it's true. It's true. We're thankful for them. So we're going to hop into Amber's interview. Hope you enjoy. Amber, welcome to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. We are so excited to have you on the show with us.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I'd like to chat all things sanitation and toilets, my day to day.
Hey, ours too, our favorite subject. We're like, obviously here living for it. Welcome. I would love it if you could just give our audience a brief overview of who you are, what you do, what's your stake in the sanitation space.
Sure. So my name's Amber. I'm the founder of PEEQUAL. PEEQUAL is the UK's first squat and go women's urinal. And our mission is to pioneer pee equality for all women everywhere that is quick, safe, and sustainable. So that's our core sort of mantra, really. That's what we want to achieve. So yeah, we are very new. We're a startup that came out of university. And our goal this year was to get our product out there, get feedback on it, get customers to know that this is an option, this facility, an equal facility to men. And so, yeah, that was our goal and we've achieved it, thankfully. So next summer is a lot more, we have more goals to achieve.
I love it. Congratulations. Walk me through a little bit about that process, because here in the States, female urinals, like, non-existent. I've never seen one in person. I don't even know what my reaction would be personally if I did. So, like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, well, it's born out of our own frustration. Me and Hazel, my co-founder, we would work at festivals in our summers. And in our breaks, we'd have to choose between going to the loo or getting food, just because the queues were so long for the women's. And so, like most people, we sort of suck it up and just to sort of think this is normal. This is what we're to expect our whole life. But then we're actually like, come on, like, surely there's some other way to exist and watch my male friends go in and out of the urinals and back to the event, which I've paid the same ticket price for, but I'm missing. Why am I not getting angry about this? Why is this not tackled? And so it sort of came from that place. And then at uni, we were asked to solve a real world problem. So that's what we decided to tackle. And from doing a bit of research, just a small amount of research, we found that there was just this crazy amount of women who were just like, this is such a big problem. Like, I've had this problem for all my whole life. I've had to strategize how many pints to have at an event because I don't want to go to the toilet. Sometimes, when you get to the toilet, it's always been, it's dirty and I never enjoy it. And it's this big problem for customers, our customers, which are events, because people don't actually go because of the toilet facilities that are available. And so there was quite a few problems, not to mention the taboo as well, around sort of women associated with hygiene and like bad hygiene in toilets. So like we went down that whole research route, which is really crazy. We could get into that, but it's about like how we sexualize women so much that we can't actually combine them with a fundamental need as a human. So that's a whole other thing we could get into. But we just saw this inequality and need gap in the market. So we were like, let's just do it. Let's see how far we can get.
Go on, Darren.
I was just going to say your background is in anthropology, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
You're doing. How did that degree play into this? The design of it. I mean, you and Hazel. I guess she's got a physics degree, but that's really not engineering, is it? You're not sanitation engineers, so
no.
What I know you said it was born out of a college project, right? And so tell us about that a little bit.
So I guess the way anthropology plays into this business is anthropology is all about why humans do certain things, different cultures. Why do we do this? How much impact does that have in the past, predicting the future? So it is very, very, very relevant when we look at introducing new products to markets and how people will quickly adopt them or not. So we definitely have used those things, but also different research methodologies as well. So like observing people from a distance and noting how they've communicated with something or used a product or a prototype in a certain way without any bias, things like that. That's how I've sort of helped bring anthropology into it. And Hazel's brought physics with this whole completely different mindset. And she's brought sort of how to test something rigorously with numbers, or like, how do we do that from a physics point of view, where it's pull it all apart and put it all together again. It's different mindsets that come together to then tackle the same problem. And that's always the most effective way of creating a solution to something. So that's sort of the backgrounds of both of us. But yeah, I think it's just also this like personal problem as well, that we always experience. Literally any time we're in a female toilet queue now, we're like itching with frustration because we know our eyes are open to the problem. The genie's out the bottle, we have a solution. So it's like, why is this happening still? If you go to buildings that are quite old, you find that women's toilets are really far away from the places where decisions are being made. So you have to go further. I only had a conversation with someone today, actually, that she is in music producing, and she's only 2 women in her department, and their toilets are like further away from something. So yeah, it's still an issue that we have to exist in. So I guess learning about structural inequality and anthropology blended into that as well. But there's so much content. I'm really trying hard to distill it. But yeah, just keep asking and I'll try and give as much best answer I can.
You're doing great. This is so much brain food for me. I mean, as you're speaking, I'm like, what about that? What about that? What about that? Because I've never thought, even as a woman, about so many of these intricate details. And your previous answer here is just thinking about, I'd never thought about how I'm paying the same amount for a ticket to go to a festival, and yet I'm seeing, a quarter less than what my male counterparts are seeing. And then just now speaking to bathrooms being further away. I mean, that's like, there are things you don't think about, right? Unless somebody draws your attention to them.
Yeah. We're just existing in a world that hasn't had that sort of insight from a woman, because men were educated before women. And so men created the cityscapes, landscapes that we exist in. And not on purpose. They haven't had this mantra against women, most people anyway. But, without that input from women, you've been left with streets with really narrow alleyways or loads of stairs, so you can't easily take pushchairs up there, for example, or less space for women's bathrooms, things like that. It's so interesting when you have done the research and you have the context backing all of this product up. It gives a lot more swing in it. So it means when you go to a customer, you can say, do you want your event to be gender equal? Do you want your event to stand for something more than what you're sort of settling for, so it has that whole other angle to it, and it's actually driving this movement, not just in customers but also women. They're emailing their events saying, do you have PEEQUAL urinals? What's going on here? Why shouldn't I have PEEQUAL urinals there? So we want this to be a social movement as well as a business.
Well, that's what was next on my mind, is obviously PEEQUAL, right? The name PEEQUAL, we get that. So what is PEEQUAL doing aside from, just person by person or customer by customer education? Is there a more broad approach that you're taking to educating people about sanitation inequality?
I mean, that would be amazing to do. I think right now we're sort of just focusing on building the product, getting it out there, and using the sort of communication platforms like, social media or the customers' websites, things like that to showcase and to signal this change. But we have no platform right now where we're educating people on it. We're just more on the ground doing that. But that's such a good idea, and it's something we can always branch out into and get there, because it's important.
And you're here doing it here.
Yeah. I guess this is a start.
This is exactly what we're all about, is helping people to see that, the world of sanitation, it's not just something that we can flush away and not think about and choose to not have it be applicable to us, because we all go. So it's applicable to all of us, these issues. So grateful for that. I've just lost the other question, but
I love the video on your website. It just within about 2 minutes, it kind of explains exactly how it works and what you do. And one question I had was when you install these at the events, it seemed like you some of the footage I saw was you had people from PEEQUAL there to explain how to use it. Do you have to do I guess women, when they see it, do they naturally just know what to do, or do you have to coach them a little bit?
It's a little bit of coaching, yeah. So what we anticipated before the summer season was our volunteers to be the friendly faces that would be come on, just have a look, just give it a go, because there is this taboo that you have to overcome, and this sort of change of behavior. It's a little bit scary, and I think we thought that this would take longer than it has done. So we've been staffing the urinals throughout the summer with our lovely volunteers. And what we found at the end of the summer, we didn't even need volunteers staffing them anymore, because women I've seen this on TikTok, I've seen this online, I know what I'm doing, that you don't need to tell me what to do. And so we actually switched our model to be more of roaming cleaners instead of educators, because that summer we basically really went ham on getting the news out there, whether that be publications from the Times to TikTok viral videos, things like that. So I think we know that these first few years are like education years, but we thought it would be a lot longer than that. So it's really lovely surprise that it's not just our efforts. As soon as one person's used it, they bring their 5 friends and they're like, look at this. And then they bring their mums and they come and look at this. And yeah, the news spread.
What's been the biggest objection? Did you have some people that are saying, no way, I'm going to use that? Or the vast majority say they're all on board for it?
I mean, the vast majority would be, yes, 100% I'm coming back. I think there is this hesitation, like I mentioned earlier, like as soon as you've used it once, you're sold, people are converted. But it's that first step, even if you're a confident person, coming and trying something new, it's always going to be a little bit like, don't know what this is about. So I would say some people are a little bit hesitant, but that doesn't stop them from trying it. So I think what we're doing in the future now is basically have more signage as you walk into the space to say, don't worry, this is what's going to happen. It's very simple. Literally, as soon as you use it once, you know what to do, but it's the first time. But if you think in 3 years' time, that won't be an issue, especially in the UK. And so you won't need as much staffing costs, all that sort of thing. So you just realize it's the startup phase.
What I know the design of it, it seems like very simple paneling and pipes that sort of assemble together, right?
Yeah, it's just like Lego.
I love the circular design of it too. It seemed like a smart space. What did you guys go through a couple different variations of the design? How did you settle on the current design?
Yeah, definitely. So it is like, it's flat pack. It fits together like Lego. So it's really quick and easy to install. It's like a 2-person lift, so anyone can do it. It's very, very easy to transport. But we sort of went about creating that design by firstly just sketching stuff. So like we take inspiration from pig troughs to flowers to a building we saw. Like we tried not to restrict our thinking. And then we went on to cardboard prototypes. So we literally just cut up some cardboard, stuck it together to create this like almost sort of domey boat-like shape, see how people would interact with it like that. And then we'd invite people in, not tell them what it is apart from it's a toilet, and ask them to interact with it. And then people would come in, lift it up, squat the wrong way round, to basically we'd analyze their behavior around a prototype. And then we'd change that prototype and iterate again and again until you get something you're like, okay, this works. Let's try it on a larger scale. So then we went to my dad's workshop and we found some old metal in the hedge and some wood. We welded that together and we created this to scale prototype, which was really rough, really, really rough. And we didn't want anyone to see it. But we managed to take it to an event in Bristol in the UK and get feedback on it. And that was actually one the BBC had on their first page for about 3 days. So we were a bit embarrassed. We were like, oh, this is our product, but it's not our product. It's not there yet. But it was so important for us to do that because we had so much scope then, international interest, customers coming in, which then really helped our investment raise down the road. But yeah, we just basically iterated on that model at scale. We got a grant, and when we iterated on another prototype, which was a follow-on from that first sort of scrappy one we made, we took that to 5 events in 2021. So it was in COVID. So it was quite difficult to persuade an event to take on a new product in COVID when they have no money and don't even know if it's going to be cancelled or on. And we're trying to sell it on a CAD model instead of like actual metal and wood. So somehow we were persuasive enough to manage that. Then after that, we iterated it again, built the product in CAD and manufactured it in Somerset. And that's what we have right now, but we're still yet to manufacture. So you can see the trend of like going back to the drawing board and like constantly ripping up what you think can improve and like not being afraid to do that. It's like we're in love with the problem instead of our product. So the product is always going to shift around the problem, so it solves it most effectively.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, absolutely, as you're a pioneer in this field, it might be embarrassed. Like I can sense the like, oh, the shame. Like we just built this. Like we're not architects, we're not engineers, but we're trying. We care this much. We're trying. That excitement, right, that you put into the solving this problem, like absolutely, the design's going to get there, and it's going to evolve as people's needs and people's just stigmas are broken down around sanitation, around what the proper way to use sanitation is, especially female urinals. And so I just really had to like stop and commend you for all of your like initiative in doing this. I can see that would be really easy to just get stumped doing. And yet you haven't done that, right? Through all these barriers with COVID, with you're an anthropologist, you're not, not an architect.
But also like having no money as well. Like literally thinking on your feet and being like, okay, we don't have any money to buy materials. Where can we get materials from? Let's go have an edge, or like, let's not be too precious about what it looks like if we can gauge some kind of feedback or a response. So that's what I would say, just like, don't hold on to what it looks like, especially at the beginning. Just get the feedback.
Yeah. And big deal to be on the BBC front page for 3 days consecutively. I mean,
something like that, yeah. And then that sparked like 3 weeks of publicity for us. So like we had not just BBC, but Forbes, radio stations across the country, Scotland radio as well, Irish radio. Like it overtook the business for about 3 weeks. We were just pushing people online. If you look into like French articles about people, we've got loads of those. Wow. And even in South Korea. So it's just, it was crazy when we had this little metal wedge, which we made ourselves. That was the big splash. So it's, that was a big moment. It was really good. But
was that the moment you'd say that was like, this sunk in, like, this is real. We have to pursue like 100% until this is done.
Yeah. I think so. I think that was just before we got a larger grant. So we were both working on full-time jobs at this point. So we were working full-time jobs, working in the mornings on people, in the evenings and weekends sometimes. And so we were like, wow, I would tell my boss, please can I just hop out this meeting? I'm going to take a radio call. He's like, yes, like so supportive, thankfully, that I was able to do that. But it was definitely coming to the point of I can't do 2 jobs now. Like I have to actually commit full time. And we're also massively tired, from doing extreme hours of work without getting paid for it. So managed to get that grant and then go.
So are you finding you're getting more and more demand? I mean, how many units do you currently have capacity for? And it sounds like you're in the plans of like ramping up. Is that where you're at right now?
Yeah, so we've got 60 products to go right now. We're manufacturing more next year, and we're getting up to the number of 180 probably. But we don't want to. What we're trying to balance is like justifying manufacturing so many, because we have to then rent out all of them all year. So we've got to think about the demand all year, and if we want to have some sort of scarcity metric going on here as well, like if you want to be part of this movement, how badly do you want it? All that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of balancing going on. We're still working out because startups so quickly we can shift and change things, which is great. But yeah, we definitely plan to have around 300 in 2024, and that's when we look to go international.
So yeah, right now, are you just in the UK or have you branched out to other regions closer to you?
Yeah, we are just in the UK right now. We want to establish ourselves and just get the core stuff down, like establish how we want to run operations, how we're going to do our CRM sales, all that sort of stuff, because it is a working process. I don't want to lie about that. So we want that time to properly do it. And then when we're ready, we want to push out internationally. So we already have customers wanting them from the US, but also Australia, also in Europe. So we're looking at partnering. Well, we're looking at partnering the UK summer with the Australian summer. So potentially going over to Australia and doing 6 months there of the year. So, but there's also so much market. It's not just festivals, it's also running events, city councils, anywhere where women queue. So yeah, it's a lot of demand. So it's just basically how it's going to come together. It's a question mark in my head too. It's like, how badly will people want it?
I was just thinking of the U.S. market. I mean, I sense a coming British invasion. Kind of like the Beatles Part 2, right? You guys are going to come here and do really well. Do really well. I think it's a cool design and very. You're in the right spot at the right time, I think.
Yeah, you're right about this right time thing, because it's all about like this quality piece, sustainability piece, and it's safety as well. It's a safe space when we can use at events, and this whole like time of like Me Too and walking home at night being in danger and all that sort of stuff. It's this big attitude change, and also hygiene safe as well. Like after COVID, people were more aware of their hygiene standards. So it's definitely this perfect storm, which I think we should just capitalize on. But it's just, there's so much to do, isn't there?
Yes,
it's exciting.
there is. But you're not alone in it. And that's the thing that we've really found, being in the sanitation spaces, that you're never alone. There are so many people who care about these issues, so many people who care about equality in sanitation, equality economically, right? This is part of that, gender equality. There's just so many people who are searching for answers, searching for ways to contribute and help. And so it'll be a beautiful thing to continue to see what other allies will flock to you as PEEQUAL grows and grows and grows and expands into other markets. And I'm just curious, Amber, as maybe a closing up question, because we're running out of time here. Would love to know your big vision and dream. What do you want PEEQUAL to accomplish?
Well, we just want PEEQUAL to give women the same opportunities, just the same facilities, so opportunities as the rest of the world. And I think we're just so passionate for women. I think that just me and Hazel, both of us, are just help women. We want them to thrive. So this is our way of going about it. So, I could say other things as well. Like we want PEEQUAL to be a landmark. Everywhere you see a PEEQUAL, that event subscribes to these values or promotes women in these ways. And it's associated with these charities, and it's helping refugees in this way. It is something that is an awareness. It's not like just a one-time supply. It's like it's alive, So, I always want to, even if this lasts like 10, 20 years, I always want to have the mindset of startup, because that means we're constantly looking how we can improve, how we can make it better for women. So I think that's my overall goal.
I love it. Thank you, Amber, so much for the good work that you're doing. Thank you for your time coming on the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. And we're excited to have future conversations with you and with Hazel and see how we might be of service, how we might work together to bring equality into this space and continue to help people be well. Yeah,
that's amazing. I'd love to stay in touch and see what we can do in the future.
Absolutely. Darren, any last minute thoughts from you before we say goodbye?
No, thank you again, Amber, for coming on the show. And we'll be definitely put links to your website in our show notes and spread the good word. So of all the good you're doing.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Amber, I mean, she's just a star. I'm so grateful for her. I'm so grateful for her anthropological background and in taking an issue that really matters, I guess, particularly to me as a woman, finding equality in this sanitation space, because there has been such a big gap. Mm-hmm. And her seeing that and saying, no, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and just try to solve this for all women.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Hazel.
Do you guys find yourself queuing? Like the word, I guess the British word is queue, but stand in line. Is that like a common experience for you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like,
And when you
like
have
everywhere you go, like at movies.
two little girls that also need to go, it's
Yeah.
just, it's not fun.
Airports.
Ugh.
I mean, we were just talking about airplanes at the start of this episode, but like airports are kind of the worst because everybody wants to use the restroom right outside your terminal.
They get off the flight and everyone needs to go, and then you have to wait.
Yeah.
And wait and wait.
But
and
men are like, in, out, in, out. And my husband's waiting for me for sometimes like 30, 40 minutes. And it doesn't matter if you walk to the next terminal or gate or whatever, there's always a line.
I was just I was in Cancun a few weeks ago, and I was at the Cancun airport, and same deal.
Yeah.
Like, and our flights were about to, flights were taking off, and line out the door, going down the hall a little bit. And men were just going in and out. And I walked in there, I felt a little guilty because I'm like, there's nobody in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when I walked out, I looked at the women, I'm like, you know what? There's nobody in there.
Yeah. I was going to say, did you let them all in?
Yeah.
And they all just said,
great.
The stampede. They all went in and started using it. And there was a guy that was in one of the stalls, and he comes out, looks around, like it wasn't like this big deal. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be opposite if all the men
came
in the women's restroom. But you understand what's going on. It's like not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's some airports have revised their airport like bathrooms. Like I think Atlanta did that. There, they just totally took out like a third of the men's restroom and just converted the whole thing
them
over
into women's restrooms.
And so you see it in just all women, and it just made sense and cut down on lines and all that stuff. But
yeah.
But yeah, hats off to PEEQUAL for. I could totally see this being put into a more of a commercial setting,
sure,
because I know most of their events are like outdoors and all that. But you could totally see a busy, similar kind of system.
I know this. Right? Okay, this is a little bit of a stretch, but like malls at holiday season, like
totally.
I mean, I would use that. I don't shop at a mall very often because it's so overwhelming. But the last time I went in, I just remember being jostled by people. And it's like, if you got to go pop up one of those PEEQUALs. I don't know.
No nesting required.
No nesting
That's
required.
Right. That's going to save a lot of toilet paper.
But you said you're a squat anyway type person, right?
So it's like perfect setup for me.
I did like the idea of the poles though that you hold on to, because I would totally go over. I can't squat like and hold it.
But, and if you're elderly, that's going to be kind of a different situation. Yes. Having to get down and then get back up. You've got to have those poles.
Yeah. Or even if you have, a knee injury or something like that, you just have really, really, really sore legs.
Or you're 4 years old.
Or you're 4 years old. Like, yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate their insight in that. Even the more thought that people can put into the design of how to be inclusive with different abilities and body types and orientations, like it's just so helpful, I think, as people expand to think about how can we solve more problems for more people instead of just one.
Instead of making everybody adapt to this one.
What would they let a man inside the PEEQUAL though? Like if
there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
I mean, you just say PEEQUAL, so it's like,
I mean, okay, here's the other thing I appreciate about PEEQUAL is that the partitions are much taller.
Yeah.
Some of the other female urinals, I've seen like
I don't want to be eye to eye with someone.
No, that was true. I think it was LaPie that you were sort of from here up, like looking around. Like,
that's really uncomfortable.
But
it's
that's
a little higher.
It's just such a difference between cultures, and it's interesting that these partner or these countries essentially right next to each other, like that's such a big difference, right? This like community feel, everybody's okay with seeing each other versus like we're much more private here. I prefer nobody to know what I'm doing.
This is a solo experience.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's all in the context too, because like these are usually outdoor events, and so a little less. Yeah. You're a little less
exposed
that way. Yeah. Well, I guess you're okay with being more exposed.
Now, if it's raining,
right? Yeah, there's no roofs on these things, so that would be hard.
You want to wear your grippy shoes,
they should do some kind of canopy or something over the top.
Yeah, I'm sure they maybe have something like that. Anyway, speaking of squatting, before we go, just want to show these cool from Squatty Potty or big fans of Squatty Potty.
We are big fans of Squatty Potty.
You probably can't see this. It's invisible. This is their new, this is called a Ghost.
Oh.
A Ghost Squatty Potty. And, most of them are just white plastic. They're kind of
really standard
They've
looking.
really done a great job. This is, I don't know, this is like acrylic maybe. I don't know what this is made out of, but probably cook with it.
Makes a great charcuterie board.
But it's a little bit of a mystery because it's like kind of see-through, right? Kind of.
It's super
very
cool. It's very sleek.
It doesn't call attention to itself.
Can you see this on the camera very well? I don't know.
Yeah. It is a much more, it looks really designed.
Yes, it's very modern.
Mm-hmm.
Fits nicely. It doesn't make your bathroom look like an airport bathroom.
Or like someone's constantly potty training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better said. Yes.
Plus, if it's dirty, you'll know it, right?
Yeah.
I can see that. So speaking of design, this is kind of cool. This is like a little bit of a...
That's beautiful.
Looks like a vintage car or something, like an old wooden...
Yeah, it's a lot lighter weight, and it's...
looks like the vinyl on an old station wagon.
It's made out of wood.
Yes.
And, what's the name of this one?
Oh, so this is not... Is this Squatty
This
Potty
is also
too?
Squatty Potty.
Squatty
This is
Potty
their
as well.
other design. This is...
I want to say beachcomber, but I don't know if I'm making that up.
It
But
looks like something a surfer would use.
but it is sort of a wood design. And anyway, I've got one of these. We have kind of a door at our house like this, similar to this. And I thought, this kind of. Anyway, so Squatty Potty's
Squatty Potty's up in their game.
stepping it
Yeah,
up.
I
It's
really
not
like
all
that.
just about squatting. You got to look good while you're
Squat
doing
in
it.
style. Style squat, everybody.
So you might want to check them out. Check out
them
Squatty
out.
Potty.
There's no excuse to not be as fashionable as possible, even when you're going to the bathroom.
Absolutely.
That's right. I try to look as good as I can.
Yeah.
This might be your last. You never know. This might be your last.
It might be your last.
Your last squat.
So go out being generous. Let people into your first class airplane bathroom.
True. Be kind.
Don't be stingy with the bathrooms, guys.
Thanks everybody for joining us for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, and share it on your social media channels. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@zuloo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at zuloo.com.